Hey guys, welcome back to Noob Nerd, and obviously this is probably the review we've all been waiting for, or the movie we've all been waiting for so long. It's only been 12 months. We should should feel blessed that we have two Avengers movies in the space of 2 years. But hey, it's just you just gotta live in it. You just gotta appreciate it, because Marvel Studios have just. I'm still in shock after 4 days after watching. Wow. They completed it. They've done a comic book arc over consecutive issues of comics, of these great and wonderful characters that are relatable but also powerful, and you feel their power but you also feel their struggle, over a series of movies that are all consistently average or above. Most of which are sensational, in my opinion, of course, but in most of our opinions. And you can tell by the box office that most people enjoy it, and it's just been woven into the fabric of our pop culture. Of course, I might be going a bit overboard, but just today I'm walking around the schools and buses, and people are still talking about this movie. I don't know what it's like in where you live. Of course, I'm in the UK, but this is already has the biggest opening of box office ever. I know that shouldn't really factor into my review, because this is going to be a discussion of Avengers Endgame, how good the movie is, not how good it performs, obviously. And of course, it's going to include spoilers. So, but if you haven't watched this movie, you're doing yourself a disservice, especially if you haven't watched. Well, to be fair, if you haven't watched the rest of the MCU, obviously you're not going to watch it. But who hasn't watched the MCU? Even if you watched a couple of the main films, you still should be watching this, because this is a masterclass, a true masterclass in how to handle different characters colliding with one another, but also finishing off an arc of solo characters, while also finishing the arc of the group of the team of the Avengers. What does the name mean, to be an Avenger? What does it mean to save people, but also bring back people who got snapped in the fingers? I don't know what I'm on about. I've completely gone off the rails here. I've gone completely off the rails. But this movie deserves my love, my cherish. This movie is directed by Russo brothers, who did The Winter Soldier, which is still my favourite solo MCU film. Did Civil War, great film. Infinity War, as you can see, poster back there shows my love for that movie, but it's just a really good poster. But Thanos is at the centre of it, and he's a character in itself in that movie. And this time, it's, instead of following the villain's arc in getting these stones, it's following the hero's journey in the true underdog story of coming back from whenever it seems impossible to do so. And so let's talk about the opening then, because all the colours are muted. It feels the darkest the MCU's ever felt like. Of course, I'm going a bit. I'm not right at the start. I'll talk about that when I talk about other characters. But when we transition to Earth near the beginning, of course, you have the gravestones. All the colours are muted, but it's not just that. It's the fact that these characters, the actors of these characters are being challenged once again. That's the good thing. That's why these actors keep on coming back. They keep on getting challenged, especially by directors like the Russo brothers, who are so good at character development. But of course, you have to give props to other directors who helped in making this movie. Taika Waititi helping out with Thor. Of course, Ryan Coogler helping out with the Black Panther characters, even though they weren't in the movie so much. But of course, they were in the movie. They were in Infinity War. Of course, I think they wanted to focus more on the characters who weren't given as much service in the last film, because it's almost impossible. This movie's not perfect. It's going to be almost impossible to please everyone, please everything. Every character's going to get a satisfying conclusion. Not a conclusion, but satisfying moments. It's not going to happen. But for most of which it does happen, and that in itself is amazing. yeah, so you see Paul Rudd having to act his heart out while also transitioning to a comedic tone as the movie progresses. But at the start, really, it's quite remarkable to see him get his clothes, just be so confused, asking the kid what's happened here. But the kid doesn't respond, of course. In the moment, you're like, say something, kid. I know he clearly doesn't know what's going on. What the hell? But he understands it's been 5 years. No, it hasn't been 5 years. It hasn't even been 5 years. It has been 5 years. It's been 5 years, and that time jump could have been really dangerous, especially after they killed Thanos so early into the movie. They really showed the toll it took on his face, but it's a bit of a plot hole because we didn't see that kind of damage at the end of Infinity War. Oh wait, because he used it again. He used the stones again to destroy the Power Stones. I'm learning some more stuff about this movie as I go along. Apologies. I was just checking if I was still recording. If I wasn't recording, then I'm gonna have to start again. I was never gonna start again. I probably would have. Whatever it takes, guys. Whatever it takes. And Thanos did whatever it takes to make sure the Avengers didn't get the Time Stones. Time Stones. Get any of the stones. Destroying it again. Sending a power surge to the Avengers. We'll switch back to Ant-Man. Ant-Man goes to find Cassie, his daughter, and Cassie just is in shock. It's almost like handshaking direction in that particular moment. It really sells the seriousness. It really sells you going into his perspective, even though you didn't see him in other movies. Even if you haven't even watched the Ant-Man solo movies, which I notably did. Ant-Man 2 I watched before. I watched Ant-Man 1 ages ago. Very good films. Not the best films, but in the MCU, but still watchable. Ant-Man 2 I think is better than the first one in my opinion. But that's a whole nother video. But even if you're not familiar with the character, through his learning of what's happened, you relate with him. You most likely relate with the character. You see the turmoil through that direction. Cassie Lang, a new actor, and 5 years later, imagine that, going up to your door and seeing a family member all grown up and wondering what the hell happened. And I'm surprised that there might be even more sort of deleted scenes, but it would be interesting to see more of how did Ant-Man talk to Cassie. Was Cassie going to be like, wait, why are you going to the Avengers base? Maybe the Avengers were seen as failures, but maybe that's in deleted scenes. But let's just talk about the movie we've got here, because the movie here, 3 hours long, is just right. It's perfect. 3 hours is perfect for this runtime. It never feels slow. It never feels that it's dragging, in my opinion. Because I'm just enthralled in every moment. When people were saying, "Oh, you can't pay," every moment's important. I was like, really? Come on, even then, come on. But no, it is. It is. But before that, of course, we have Tony stuck in space with Nebula. Of course, that's when you have a few bits of humor. I liked trying to play that little football game. I don't even know. But yeah, Tony trying to see the best in Nebula. Nebula trying to see the best in Tony. But of course, as the days go by, they run out of food and water, and you see the physical transformation that Tony goes through. Very good CGI all around this movie. But in that particular moment used, I didn't expect that, even though it makes sense. He would have been malnourished for long, and you really sells the idea that Tony's been through a lot, and that makes his, again, turning on his backlash against Captain America. So remember when you said we would lose? We've lost now. That was just a punch in the gut again. Wow. So you believe it. Tony's, even though of course the CGI helps with him being skinny, Robert Downey Jr.'s acting once again is stellar. Absolutely stellar. 10 million for every time he gets the role. It's fine. Every time he's in the movie, 10 million is fine. He deserves the money if he keeps on performing like this. But we'll see. I don't think he's ever coming back. Oh, he's dead. But wow, apologies there, my computer went off there. But yeah, but of course Tony got back to Earth on the first place through the blinding light of Captain Marvel, and such a brilliant opening. Just show not tell again. I say this in the Shazam review, check them out with reviews. It's always best to show not tell. Showing the audience that this is going to help in the battle. This is a light at the end of the tunnel. Captain Marvel, a new Pokemon has emerged. But you see Tony opening his eyes, mirroring, reflecting, subversing what happened in the Avengers when he was closing his eyes thinking he was going to die, and here he thinks he's going to die, but then he opens his eyes, the light comes in, and Captain Marvel arrives and saves Tony and Nebula and brings the ship back home. Let's talk about Captain Marvel. Because in the Avengers, they take her, they just say she's a new girl. Okay, fine, she saved Tony, so we should immediately trust her. To be fair, I don't think the Avengers at the point would have cared about knowing much about what happened. All she needed to say was that she was saving other worlds. That's why she wasn't there for Infinity War, and that's a good enough excuse for me. Her character isn't really developed. To be fair, she is more used as a weapon, but to be honest, I think the Captain Marvel solo movie could have done a lot better in that aspect. So I don't think the Russo brothers could have done much with her character, especially when you have Tony and Cap's resolutions that really take center stage here, and as it should, because them two are the heart and beat of this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they have been elevated by this movie, in my eyes, as being close to the pantheon of Batman and Superman, and even Spider-Man, of course. But Spider-Man in this universe, he's still young, but through these experiences, hopefully in the next 10 years, in the next phases, he becomes what Iron Man always saw in him, and became the stature of Iron Man in this universe. Yeah, Captain America cuts her hair. I like Rocket's little humour about her hair being short, looking like noodles or something like that. But Rocket here, I would have liked to see a bit more emotion from it. I liked it when they were holding hands with Nebula. That was a bit spoiled by the trailer, but not a lot was spoiled by the trailer. Rocket making a lot of humour. His humour's always on. Bradley Cooper's on point with the humour every time with Rocket. But I would have liked to see a bit more difference in his emotions, in like how he deals with the Guardians effects, using humour as a deflection for his true inner demons. But that's just a nitpick, because once again the other characters take center stage. But Nebula is one character who once again is really complex, and she's really well done in this movie, especially with the time travel aspect that we go into, which I think many of us were suspecting, but you could never have guessed how perfectly they would have executed it, in my opinion. Captain America, he can't, whatever it takes, not us, he remembers, he can't let it go. Captain America's that much of a Boy Scout, he can't ever resolute in his head that he lost, whereas Tony was like, the threat was imminent, I knew this was going to happen. Cap and Tony are the perfect yin and yang to each other. It's brilliant, sensational, but also similar paths. Captain America talking to Black Widow, Scarlett Johansson really has a time to shine here, and she's like, I used to not have a family, but now I have one. Brilliant. Scarlett Johansson really brings out A game. She doesn't have a lot of scenes to chew on, but they give her just about to chew on. But Captain America is brilliant. Of course, he has loads to chew on. I just know what I'm saying, chew on. Thor. Now let's talk about Thor, because he goes through a big transformation. He was really well done in Infinity War. Probably the best, probably the peak of his character's popularity and his development. And now they kind of raided back in. They gave him a fat, jokey look to him. Was that the right decision? Many people saying it wasn't. People wanted Thor to be the MVP, and I can get that. But once again, now that I'm thinking about it, kind of contrasts Tony's situation at the start of the film, where he was really skinny, but Thor's now really big. And Thor is also, even though he killed Thanos, he's like, don't ever speak his name again, almost like Harry Potter vibes. And you see, talk about the Harry Potter vibes in a bit, because this movie really is really similar in stature, in big stature, and big performing at the end when it matters, to Deathly Hallows and Lord of the Rings, even Return of the Jedi in the emotional stakes. Wow, this is generational. This is a generational film. that will be talked about for years to come, as well as all the other movies to back it up. That's what sets it apart from other franchises. This is a serialized thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? That's what even makes it more special, that they took time to build this all up. And of course, you can make good movies that develop characters in one movie. You can. But to build something like this, to build something that only Marvel Comics have created, of course DC I have also, but in that medium, superhero medium, it really is something to behold for a person who really values his characters that have lasted for such a long time. So Thor, I love it when Korg is there. I love seeing the Ragnarok guys come back in for, even if it was for a bit, but they really like the idea. I really like the idea of New Asgard, Norway. Hopefully we'll see more of that in the Asgardians of the Galaxy thing, or maybe they will make a Thor 4, but without Thor, maybe with Valkyrie as the new lead. That'd be interesting. But Thor still goes through a relatively still a really good character arc, but it's less complex, but it's more simplified. He goes to see his mother from Thor the Dark World. Thor the Dark World now factors in more to Endgame. That elevates other movies like that weren't as good as the other movies. But Thor the Dark World, every time I watch that movie now, I'm just gonna think of Endgame, and just, in your eyes the movies come. That's why people read back the issues of comics, because you want to see those moments again and see it in a new context, knowing what happened after. Thor's mother was never really shown the light upon. It was always the focus on Odin and his grandeur. Anthony Hopkins did a wonderful acting job with that character, but Thor's mom never really got a time to shine, and she did. And she was like, I knew you were time traveling. I'm your mother, but also I'm from Asgard, obviously. But she was just doing the simple. Sometimes simplicity is complexity. I've said this a lot again, but yeah, just a simple pep talk from the mom can really elevate. I say elevate a lot, but this movie just elevation. The Avengers rise to the occasion. The Russos rise to the occasion. And Thor rises to the occasion from his mom's help. So let's talk about Hulk. Hulk is a character that I never really was into that much. Okay, I get it. I'm always angry. That was a cool moment. But at the end of the day, it was just kind of like turns into a green rage monster. I just like it when he smashes things. But he's never really up there in my eyes. I like Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner in some cases more than the actual Hulk character, which is fine. This is good. It shows that you care about the man behind the green. If that makes sense. I'm not talking about Swamp Thing. But here they combine it. And of course, the Russos and Kevin Feige was aiming to make a multi-movie arc for Hulk. So in many cases, it can feel disjointed that they're just going from one place to the next with Hulk. But I feel like if you watch all of them all together, I think you can get a really cool arc. But the ending to this, if this can be considered the ending to his arc, it's a damn good one. Even if it feels like you could have seen a cool montage of him making Professor Hulk. Professor Hulk is my G, man. He's my G. Fantastic. Great to see Mark Ruffalo really, again, doing different stuff. Not being as shy, being more comedic. Playing a more confident, assured version of himself from the one you saw in the Age of Ultron and other stuff like that. It would be interesting to see his relationship with Natasha. But you can fill in the blanks yourself. But it's cool seeing back on his previous self in the Avengers movie and see how much he's evolved, but also stayed the same to some respects, especially when. No, but yeah, it's just that he works well. He works well the event. He doesn't feel out of place. It doesn't feel like it came out of nowhere. It feels like this is the natural progression for his character, even if it might not be it for you. Maybe it might feel out of the blue for other people, but they make it so it fits, and it shows that the 5 years actually did happen, and it's not just a time jump and the characters haven't progressed at all. They're all still depressed. Some of them have really thrived upon this opportunity, And Hulk, I like his when he's like time travel, but also when he's like Natasha and tries to get the Infinity Gauntlet. Wow, that really helped make Hulk a really cool character for me, even more cooler than I thought he was. Hawkeye. That's the first scene in the movie where his family dies, and I saw that coming. Didn't make it any less tragic. Ronin, I felt like they could have done a better job, but I like the fact that he spoke Japanese. I just want to see more of it. Maybe a TV show will sort that out. Maybe a flashback showing his inner demons through his killings, and of course he's more ruthless. He hasn't gone over the family, his family being killed, and he's killed lots of mobs and mob bosses in Japan for some reason. Well, hopefully we get flashbacks to that in the TV show to reconcile with that, and he does feel responsible for that, and that's why he wants to kill himself, sacrifice himself for the Soul Stone. But Black Widow ultimately takes the sacrifice, even though it plays out the same way. Of course, as Gamora, everything goes to white. You see the dead body of Black Widow. Wow, I like how they do that for both Gamora and Black Widow, but it does feel repetitive. It does feel like they're doing the same thing again, but they know that. And they know what Hawkeye's reaction going to be. Where Thanos is like, okay, I cried, but I've got the Soul Stone. Hawkeye's going to be like, it should have been me. And his acting, he says that. I'm so glad that the actor for that, Renner, got a chance to really strut his stuff up. Him particularly got his time to shine as Hawkeye. But also serving his relationship with Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow, and really showing that, because I always feel like them two were the proper relationship, cool platonic relationship to a man and woman, showing how that can really still be a cool bond, a really really solidified bond. Even you don't have to be together. You don't, because the Hulk and Black Widow stuff could have been much better. It doesn't have to be romantic to be interesting. I always felt like Hawkeye's and Black Widow's relationship was more sustainable for me. Really well done. The one thing that really could edge it up above other circumstances and relationships, like Cap and Tony's or something like that, or Cap's and Bucky's, is we need to see how Black Widow met Thingy in the first place. Met Shield and met all these characters that started off on the journey of becoming an Avenger. We've got a movie coming up for that. It's probably my longest video ever. Captain America, he truly is America's ass. You see him doing jokes like that, and I like it when when he's fighting his old self. He's like, okay, we get it. Because Captain America's like, he's just trying to be all very much Boy Scouty. But the future Captain America's like, okay, we get it. That shows that's a subtle joke, but it really makes you notice how much he has changed. He's still a Boy Scout, but Captain America, he's hardened a lot. He's realized a lot of stuff about this time and place, and he uses that to his advantage when he says Bucky's back. And of course they're making a new What If series on Disney Plus, and that I kind of want to see all these alternate realities as beautifully explained by Twilda, the ancient one played by Twinda Silton or something like that. Sorry, apologies for my names. It's good to see her back. It was a welcome surprise to see her back. I personally rate her in Doctor Strange. I think she's great in it, and it's great that they don't forget about the newer characters as well and link that in. Link those newer solo movies in as well. When she pushes Bruce Banner out of Hulk, that's a perfect way to get Bruce Banner back in the equation, while also giving you comic book joy. The screenwriters Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. Wow, I usually don't mention writers, but you gotta mention them here. Like, it's just emotional context, but also fanboy context combined. It's just, oh, this movie's sensational. You know it is. And then with Captain America in that elevator scene, just as tense as it was in Winter Soldier, where he says "Hail Hydra." What a callback to the comics, but also what's his intellect's gone using that. That made my mouth drop when he said that word. Just a simple moment. Just to think, what about the big moments? And the big moment well, they were all big moments, weren't they? That's why you couldn't pee during this movie. Back to the Future injections of Back to the Future. Energy, just that feeling of energy. That even though you've watched Back to the Future thousands of times, you still go back to it. You still love the peril. You still feel like there's stakes in that time travel. But you also feel close to these characters as they learn about their parents when they were younger, and just as Tony does in this movie. And that really completes that fatherhood storyline about his father issues that I've seen many other. I think there's been a lot of videos around about analysing previous Marvel movies, and that's one point that I think, what's it called, full fat videos, search them up, they're good video essay channel. Talk about Tony's daddy issues. Oh no, I don't think it was them. You'll find it. Tony's father issues have been a real focal point, and Thanos is like a representation of all those bad memories. But of course, Tony seeing his dad just before he's gonna become a dad, just because Tony's gone past the point, he's also becoming a dad through his daughter. I really like that development with him. Tony getting a daughter, even if it's a deviation from the comics, it really sells the idea that can he really face trying to risk his life again when he's got a family to live for? But Pepper sets him on the right direction. On the only way, as Doctor Strange said, that no, Tony, this is going to eat you up inside if you don't try. You have to try. And Tony meets his dad. Great acting by the guy who plays Howard Stark. I can't remember his name, but it was good to see him back. It was on the nose, but it was the right cheesiness. That wasn't even cheesy. What am I on about? It was just poignant, very sincere. You just feel like these characters, the writers give a crap about giving the fans their completion and satisfaction of the arcs, while also doing something quite zany and quite unpredictable that you don't expect. What's the other thing I missed? Nebula. How does Thanos come back to the equation? Finally, Thanos comes back to the equation through him seeing nebulas, 2 nebulas, Wi-Fi going off. Thanos works out what's happened in the future, and he needs to dispose of the Avengers quickly. Nebula and Gamora's relationship then thrives off that realization. As he said, Thanos is back. Holy crap! He's the only villain for this. He's the only he couldn't introduce a new villain, because Thanos is the big bad of this film, and he's the Voldemort figure that gets dusted away. But he also feels sad that he was such a good villain to hate. But he was much more after me. He was much more complex in Infinity War, but he did what he needed to do in this movie. Gamora. I did feel like it was a bit quick how Gamora switched back to Nebula's side on the rest of the Avengers side, even though she doesn't really know what the future holds. Well, she does a bit, but not emotionally. But you could of course cover that up with the fact that this shows how Thanos treated his daughters, and of course you've seen the turmoil. You've heard about the turmoil he put them through their conversations regarding Guardians of the Galaxy as well. Of course, so watching those films certainly helps. Of course, the cosmic Marvel universe is just as interesting as the Earth universe. To some people, it's more interesting. A final battle. There's nothing more to say. I'm running out of time. I'm going too long. Apologies. But thank you if you made it to this video. I really appreciate if you like, comment, subscribe. I haven't ended the video yet, but I just really appreciate if you've made it to this far. I'm just a guy who loves Marvel, DC, everything I like, everything nerdy, noob nerd. That's me. So yeah, final battle. I'm speaking really quietly, but it's just it's either that or really loud because this was Lord of the Rings type shit, man. Everyone, I was like, is this too much? Is this too many characters? Captain America says, Avengers assemble. He has got the hammer of worthier force. That was so good. I was literally shaking so much. The rest of my row in the cinema was shaking as well. Well, their seats were vibrating, and my mate had to be like, "Sid, calm down, calm down." But I just couldn't calm down, and rightly so. And I like how Thor liked it as well. Thor was like supportive. He was like, "Yes, you have got Mjolnir. I've got Stormbreaker. Let's do this." Not belittling him, because they've formed that relationship now. They know each other. They're going to support each other as friends now, especially in times of great peril, as it really shows. Because it's everything's still dark and muted in color, but the Avengers are the ones that light it up, that light up the scene. The Doctor Strange magic helps as well. It just helps show, not telling. Once again, light the heroes light up the darkness. Every character gets time to shine in this. Ant-Man and the Wasp, Spider-Man. I love Spider-Man. He's my favourite superhero. Pepper with her new suit. Even though I knew that was coming in the movie. When you're in the movie, you just absorbing everything, and you just forget about that. And of course, Pepper comes in with her new suit to help. That's cool to see. That really helps me like Pepper a lot more, because I always felt she was just a love interest. She was just like, okay, she's get it. She's stubborn. She doesn't like Tony most of the time and his actions, and he doesn't like his actions most of the time. For me, it makes the Pepper character more exciting, but I know many of you probably would have liked her already. Get Happy Hogan a suit, eh? I like Happy Hogan from the beginning, but Rhodey's got his suit. I like him. He has some good lines in this movie as well. I like Rhodey, especially his interactions with Nebula when they're time traveling. I probably missed a lot in this discussion, but let me know your thoughts. That's what the comments are for. I really hope you contribute, as well as like, comment, subscribe, share. I'm just trying to make up time. Captain Marvel comes in, the force of nature. I don't feel many people talking about this, but I really like the Doctor Strange turning the tornado. It really gives me the Harry Potter vibes. The spell magic just makes it really cool, man. So cool. Captain America getting that hammer. Oh, that still brings tears to my eyes. But I'll tell you what else does. Thanos. Not Thanos dying. Iron Man dying. His eyes are just open, man. It's just like, it's not even that his eyes are closed when he's dead. He doesn't get to do that final speech. But he did all the talking on the battlefield. He's done all the talking before, and he'll just do what needs to be done. He needs to avenge the fallen, and he does. Gets the gauntlet. Nanotech somehow makes a gauntlet. Might not make complete sense how the power when Iron Man does hold the stones, how it does it immediately hurt him. It hurts him more so after, when he actually does the snap. The third snap. Of course, second snap brings everyone back. The second snap by Hulk brings everyone back. So beautifully done. So simply done. Doesn't have to show everyone vaporizing back in. You just have to see Ant-Man's reaction. That's enough. Because these characters are so entwined with us that you see one person's heartfelt reaction, that's enough for you to realise the reality of the situation, whether it's good or bad. And of course, it quickly becomes bad, because you realise everyone's dead, everyone's come back alive, but Natasha's still dead, and Thanos comes in, blows up the Avengers base. Stakes are really high. That's what the Russo brothers are also good at, raising the stakes. Because in some Marvel movies you can be like, you know they're gonna win, but here you just don't know who's gonna come out alive or dead. But unfortunately, Iron Man does. So many good quotes in this movie. I am inevitable. I love you 3000. That was America's ass. But I Am Iron Man, that completes the circle of loop in 22 movies. That's the sign of a generational movie. One that will have movie quotes that you remember for years to come. Or maybe it's just because many people are just posting on live chats and comments, and we live in the meme era, so maybe that aids in my argument too much. I don't know. Gets the funeral. I'm not doing it justice by this discussion. Tony Stark's character arc is sensational. Captain America becomes old. That again might not make sense. He has to jump back between realities because it's an alternate timeline. So how does he come back to our timeline when he sees Falcon and gives Falcon the shield? But again, it's just, you gotta let those things slide when the character development is just sensational. And Captain America and Iron Man, played by Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, are just doing almost Oscar-worthy performances. And this movie should at least be nominated for best screenplay. And if Black Panther can get best picture nomination, at least Avengers Endgame should get a best screenplay. I think that's the thing. The funeral scene, everyone's there, even the kid from Iron Man 3. If I didn't know who it was, my friend was like, "Who the hell is that guy?" Well, I found out at the end of the movie. That's a cool Easter egg. Some really cool Easter eggs. Because this doesn't stop Marvel from using Easter eggs around the place, showing everyone in mourning, but also in spirit. I love that beautiful shot of Wakanda. Even though I would have liked to see the Black Panther characters more, that Wakanda shot alone just helps me get excited by the rest of the phase and show that this is the end, and they really solidify that it's the end, and it really makes these 22 movies all feel like a cohesive package that you don't need to watch anything else now. This is it. You've done it. Lord of the Rings: Return of the King, done. Deathly Hallows, done. And done most magnificently in the most epic way. Sorry for that jumping recording once again, but I think that's a sign that I should really wrap things up here. Even if I lost my trail of thought, I was going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. Screw it, I'm giving it a 10 out of 10. It's not really a review, it's more a discussion really, and I want you guys to be part of it down below in the comments. I really appreciate if you like, comment, subscribe, share. Always appreciate it. I love you 3000. I'll see you guys next time. I know I just said that I wouldn't care if I lost my trail of thought, but I like how there's no end credit scene. It just makes it feel like this is the end. But of course, once again, what I said about the Wakanda scene and setting up everything in place, Spider-Man coming back to his old school, Black Panther being in Wakanda, sets up that there is a future for these characters. Captain Marvel, when Thanos headbutts, no, not happening. That got a really cool cheer from the audience, so that was cool to see Captain Marvel get a shining moment there. And people wanted to see Captain Marvel fight Thanos, even if they weren't so keen on the character. But she is very powerful, so theoretically she should be leading something, doing something major, including leading an all-female fighting force. Love that, love that. That's how you do female empowerment. Get me empowered as well. Yeah. See you guys next time.